Hello, everyone. It's Fidelis here, founder of Kingdom Woman Entrepreneurs. Thank you for being part of this community. I'm blessed that you are here with us. This month, our community focus is rest, strength, and freedom in Jesus. And we're focusing on Psalms 55:22 this month. And it says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken." What a powerful scripture that is. I am praying that you're going to take this scripture into your daily devotion and really dig in this month together with us as a community. But today I wanted to share with you what it really means to rest and find strength and freedom in Jesus. So we always want to look at the context. Why was this written? When was it written? And so here it goes. Psalms, as we all know, is written by King David. So he's dubbed the sweet psalmist of Israel, and that's in 2 Samuel 23:1. And it's beautiful psalms. If you read it, it's filled with songs, poems, and beautiful verses that have been written by the psalmist David. And so Psalm 55 is all about trusting God concerning the treachery of friends. That's the heading of that whole chapter. And little did I know, I didn't even know this. It's just now that we're digging into the Psalms 55:22 that I realized, oh my goodness, this whole verse was actually all about David sharing his emotions and his feelings towards this situation that he was experiencing during that time, which was a betrayal, or perhaps someone that has been disloyal to him, a friend that have betrayed him. And so that's what the Psalm 55 chapter is about. That's David expressing his emotion and his feelings during that time. And so it's a contemplation of David and all the things that he was going through at the time. So at the time also, he had enemies who were after him and literally want to kill him, right? And he in this chapter, he speaks about the wicked in general, as well as talking about that particular person that have betrayed him. And so that's what it's about. So it's expressing his pain through his psalm, through his writing. But one great thing that he did during that whole chapter was to acknowledge God and acknowledge his sovereignty and God's ultimate judgment upon the wicked, and also David expressing and speaking out God's promise over the situation. So anyway, so David was in terrible pain during this time, and he was pained because he was hurt, not because of an ordinary enemy that has risen up against him, but it was a companion. It was someone that was very close and dear to him, someone he worked closely with. He was a close friend, and perhaps they did ministry together, perhaps they worked closely together, they did life together, life and ministry together. And so that's why David was really in pain, and he was pained, and he was feeling like, what's going on here. And if you read, and I encourage you to read the whole chapter, you will find that David would be expressing himself. And so he shares his frustrations here with us, his pain, his emotions, and what he was feeling during that time. So I won't read the whole chapter to you. So as I said, read it when you've got time. It's not very long, but here's a few things that jumped out at me while I was reading. So verse 4 and 5 says, "My heart is severely pained within me, and the terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fearfulness and trembling have come upon me, and horror has overwhelmed me." So this is David talking about his pain, talking about that, he's fearful and he's starting to tremble and in horror, and he has overwhelmed. So he just describing what he's feeling during that time. So What else? David calls to God for judgment as well in this chapter. So he is calling to God for judgment on the wicked. So verse 9, it says, "Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city." So here in this verse, he's actually talking about the wicked in general, not that person in particular. He's talking about the wicked in general, and he's asking God, where is the judgment? Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues. So, confuse them, because they're always coming together to plan and scheme things against me. So he's basically saying, God, go to them and divide their tongues, divide them, and destroy all those things that they've been planning against me, basically. So he was angry. He was even angry to the point that he said, "Let death seize them." So that's, you'll see that in verse 15. It says, "Let death seize them, let them go down alive into hell, for wickedness is in their dwellings and amongst them." So powerful. Can you believe David is actually saying this? God, like, I don't like them. Actually, he's like, I hate them. Seize them, let them go down alive into hell. And that's him venting and sharing his emotion to God. So again, his words are directed to the wicked generally, and his frustration during that time, and not personally against that one he was distressed, that has distressed him or have wronged him. Okay, so that was him talking about the wicked in general. So going back to Psalms 55:22, David, he says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken." So after all of the things that he said, after all of the, the venting out, sharing the emotion, and, sharing to God, God, this is how I feel. Where's the justice? And all of these things that he's saying. He talks about in Psalms 55:22, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken." So, there, and that is our community focus for the month: casting our cares, and finding rest, strength, and what was it? Finding rest, strength, and freedom in Jesus. So when we look back into Psalms 55:22, and it says, "Casting all your cares," at this time, we know that there's so many things in this world that we care about, and things that we're worrying about as well, things that are going on around us. And there might be stress at work, there must be, it might be relationships, it might be your career, it might be losing a job, it might be health issues, it might be, it could be anything. Lots of things in this world that could be weighing you down and stressing you out and overwhelming you, right? In this particular scene, David is talking to God about his worry and cares in regards to the wicked and the people that have, turned against him, and also specifically about this person that have, betrayed him. So that was his care, and he was expressing that, and just giving that back to God. And so your concerns and cares might be different. Might be different from what David's care is at this time. So as I said, it could be anything. It could be relationships, your career, losing a job, business, could be your health and wellness, might be stressing you out, and something's happening over there, right? But I just wanted to remind you about casting those cares to him, just like David did. If we look in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 to 30, it says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And so this is what Jesus tells us to do when we have this overwhelming, heavy burden, stress, thing that's heavy on us, because we can exchange that for his light and for his ease. And here's the thing, it's easy to say, hey, okay, you're worried, you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, just give that to God. Just cast it onto Jesus. Just give it to him. You could easily say that, but how does it actually work? What does that actually mean? What does that actually look like? And so I wanted to break that down for you today. The first thing, if we wanted to cast our cares onto him, is to go straight to God. And that's basically Matthew 11:28. Come unto me. First thing that Jesus said is, come unto me. There's such freedom in going straight to God and to tell him how we feel. And so much, I mean, for me personally, when I'm telling someone how I feel, it's, they could agree with it, they could disagree with it, they might have opinions about it, and it makes me feel good that I can share that. But it's different when we share and go straight to God about our cares. Even before we speak, God already knows what we're thinking. He already knows what's in our heart. We can't lie to him. We can try to say it, but he knows how we feel. He knows what we are going through. And so going to him and having that freedom to just express that is so good. It helps us so much, because if we're talking to someone, it's sort of like sometimes you kind of hold back. You can't say certain things to that person, right? Because you're worried you're going to be judged. You're worried you're going to be they're going to have some certain opinion or something that they want to say about you. Well, going to God, you can come to him freely, because you know that he knows your weakness. He knows where you're at. He knows that he knows you inside out. He knows you probably better than yourself. So you can come to him freely and just express that. And sometimes, for me personally, I sometimes feel like, oh God, can I really share my things like that to you? Like, could I speak like that? Look at David. He was even saying like, I wish, was saying like, would you bury them in hell alive, something like that. Like, he was very much straight to the point, and even like brutal for me anyway. It was pretty brutal. Like, the stuff that he was saying was full on, but I think it was great to see that, because it means that, what, we could do that too. And it's okay to express our emotion, our feelings to God when we're feeling a certain way. And that's not, I don't believe that's going to faze him. I don't believe that's going to bother him. I believe that that's what he wants us to do. He says that in Matthew 11:28, and it says, come to me, come to me. Don't go to your friend, don't go to someone else and start venting. Come to me. I feel like that's a relationship thing. When you have a relationship with someone, you can easily go to them and trust them with your worries and your cares. And I think this is what Jesus was telling us in Matthew 11:28, come to me. So first step is knowing that you have that freedom. You can go straight to God and tell him how you feel. Just like David went to tell God how he felt, and he was straightforward with God about what he was feeling. He wasn't like, trying to sugarcoat it or make it sound all flowery and good and sound all nice. And he just was just pouring out his heart to God and expressing how he felt. And that is completely fine, because God says, come to me. Matthew 11:28, Jesus says, come to me. So that's the first step, is having that freedom. And we can look into Hebrews 4:16. It says, let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Again, read this, it's so powerful. Hebrews 4:16. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. So most of the time when we're feeling like, oh, I feel angry, I feel upset, I feel frustrated, there comes a certain degree of shame sometimes in that. Like, should I be feeling this way? Are my feelings valid? I mean, can I feel these things? Yes, your feelings are valid. That's why you have feelings. God put them there so that you would understand and learn more about him and about you. So don't dismiss those emotions, don't dismiss those feelings. Instead, approach God's throne of grace with confidence. You can go to God. It says, come to me, go to God, and know that you will receive mercy and you will find grace to help you in that time of need. So come to him, approach his throne of grace with confidence, with whatever you might be feeling, whatever emotions that you have, go to him, because he's inviting you. That's his invitation. Come to me. First step, finding that freedom to come to Jesus, no matter what stage, no matter what it might look like, no matter how angry, how frustrated, how overwhelmed you are. Here you can come to him knowing that he's going to be there to help you, to give you grace, to give you mercy in that time of need. So that's, again, number one is finding that freedom to come to Jesus just the way that you are, being confident that, you know what, it's actually not through our righteousness that we find that freedom. It's not because I'm good that I can go to God. It's not because I'm perfect that I can go to him. That righteousness is not of our own. It is actually through the righteousness and freedom and authority we have through Jesus. It's actually through him that we can approach that throne of grace. It's because of the righteousness of Jesus through us, not of our own, okay? Not our own righteousness or perfectness or amazingness. It's because of Jesus. He have already paid the price. So we can go to God and really just bare our soul, basically bare all our worries and cares to him. All right, so will you take that? Will you accept that invitation when God says, come to me, all of you who are heavy laden, like all of you who are tired, come to me. Will you accept that today? If you're feeling tired, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if someone did you wrong, if you were, feeling angry, and all of these emotions are in you, will you go to him? And because sometimes it's the feeling of shame. I feel bad. That, do I feel this way? Is it right to feel this way? It's sometimes it's that shame that holds us back from going towards God. So don't let shame stop you from going to Jesus. If you're feeling condemned and there's you're feeling shame, that's not of God. Condemnation is not of God. Conviction is of God. When you want to get better, when you want to be better, if you want to do better, that's conviction. God is convicting you to be a better person, so you go to him. So don't let the feeling of shame or feeling of condemnation stop you from going to God. Have the confidence that he's actually convicting you. Come to me. So so I invite you, God is inviting you to go to him if you're feeling tired, stressed out, overwhelmed, angry, sad, whatever you might be feeling. Go to him first before anybody else, and he's right there waiting for you. So again, number one, freedom in coming to Jesus boldly. Second, right, is finding strength in this divine exchange. And I love that one of our sisters here, Joanne Tweedy, expressed this so beautifully, divine exchange. And you'll find that in this verse. It says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart. You know what? Meek and lowly, I don't know. For me, I'm pretty proud. I'm proud. I have an ego. We all do. I'm proud sometimes. I don't want to admit my mistake. I don't want to say that I was wrong. I don't want. There are times that we feel that way, right? That's your weakness. They're weak. We are weak. We are. It's part of humanity. We are weak. There's some weak parts to us that in our own strength we can't do it, but it's through God's strength that we can achieve those things. So carrying those things that we're worrying about is too heavy, and we're not supposed to carry them. So knowing that his strength is made perfect in our weakness, it's okay, because he knows that we're weak. He knows that's why he's there, so that he can come in with his perfect strength to take over that weakness, or to fill in the gap that is lacking there. So, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart. So I want to encourage you, there are so many weaknesses that we may have in this world, but his strength is made perfect through that weakness. And so it's okay. Don't worry. Go to him again. Go to him and have that divine exchange and say, God, you know what? I can't seem to do this on my own. I'm not going to be able to. So, would we exchange? Can I exchange that heaviness and worry to you, and you can give me your ease and lightness and peace that you could give me in this situation? And so I encourage you to have that divine exchange. Go to God, come to him, he said, and then take my yoke upon you. So have that divine exchange. And lastly, finding divine rest in Jesus. So again, Matthew 11:28-30 says, come unto me. That's our first thing, is the freedom in coming to him. First things first, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. Take verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart. So that's who he is. And sometimes we are not. And so we have that exchange. And ye shall find rest unto your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So after you've come to God, allow him to take over and have that exchange of heaviness, learning from him, then you will find this divine rest unto our souls. And so just understanding that God doesn't want us to carry those burdens. That's why he's here. He wants to take care of us. And so going back to David, Psalms 55:22, cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. So again, he cast his cares onto Jesus. He was basically sharing all his emotions and going to Jesus, and telling him all of the things that he was worried about. But this is what he said. He said, cast your cares unto the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. David spoke out God's promises. He was speaking out all of these promises that God has for him. So no matter what cares you might be holding on to, today I encourage you to surrender them at the foot of the cross and allow God to take over. There's some things in life that we just cannot, you just cannot do alone. It's hard. There are some weaknesses, some things that we can't do, but what we can do? We can go to God. We can go straight to God. And we can find rest, strength, and freedom. So I hope that was a blessing to you. We'll be diving deeper together as a community on this topic this month. So please come and join the master classes that we have for you for this month. I will put the link down here for all of the dates that's coming up for this month for our master classes. And thank you to my Kingdom Woman Entrepreneur Leadership Group. They're incredible. They will be running this month. And so please come and join. The next one is actually coming up tomorrow with me at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So please come and join us. We'll be digging deeper into this word together. But then, I hope this was a blessing to you. Again, finding rest, strength, and freedom in Jesus. Point one, come to him, go to him, having that freedom in being able to go to him. Second is finding that strength in divine exchange, and knowing that his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And lastly, we can find rest in him, divine rest, because he has all of the things that we need. And in any season, we can always go back to him and find that divine rest. Okay, so anyway, have a wonderful rest of your week. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at our Sisterhood Masterclass. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys.